better than Mama. I woke up in a cold sweat as those words rang through my head. I was 9 years old, my family was poor, and it was my birthday. I had a Nintendo Wii, and all I wanted was a new game for it. Anything, any game at all would do. My mother came home from work that day with the cheapest game she could find. A $5 copy of Cooking Mama. The seller seemed happy to get rid of it, almost tried to give it away for free. The game booted up, and I started playing. I was making burgers, shakes, and fries. All of the choices the game gave me, I didn't skip out on a single one. It was so much fun. Mom came into the room and started playing it with me too. It was such a blast. At one point, the game gave me some mini-game where I had to use a hammer of some kind. If you messed up, you hit Mama's hands. Me being a kid, I messed up a few times. But I laughed, as it was really funny to my 7-year-old mind. I kept doing it, over and over, but Mama kept getting more and more angrier. She got so angry she screamed, "I will cut off your hands!" Her voice, it was distorted, so loud it shook the apartment. Mom ran in and turned it off. She took the game out, put it in its case, and hid it in her room. I was scared. My entire body stiffened as everything felt cold. Mama told me to go to bed, and so I did. I laid down and waited for her to go to sleep too. When she did, I went looking for the game. I found it in her dresser along with some objects I didn't recognize at the time. I put the game in my Wii and clicked the channel icon. The channel screen was different this time. It was all black, and Mama had a blood-red outline around her. Her eyes were photorealistic and bleeding. I was scared, but I wanted to play more. I started the game. It loaded like normal. Everything seemed fine, so I chose the newest dish available. It was beef stew. Everything seemed fine, until I had to start cutting up the vegetables. My character put their hands on the board and started cutting all their fingers off while screaming. Everything was bloody and they just wouldn't stop. You could tell my character was in so much pain and agony. I started to cry, and Mama took over. She put my character's severed fingers in the dish, and then chopped the hands right off. Blood started gushing out everywhere. It was a stream of nothing but blood. Blood all over the kitchen, the table, the food. It was a mess. Mama looked right at me and said, "Good job!" Mama finished the dish. It was filled with fingers, eyeballs, and other parts, all presumably my character's. The game became deadly silent. It kicked me back to the main menu. There was a new option available. A picture of my mother with the text, Maria, under it. I started crying even more. Screaming and crying. I started to run out of my room, but the door slammed shut. I screamed and banged my hands against the door. Mama said, "Pay attention!" I turned around, my face red and covered in tears, and I watched. It was my mother's face. It was cut clean off, with part of her head too. Mama put it in a bowl of red sauce. My mother had no eyes, just holes of where they should be. Super realistic. It looked real, like it was her actual face inside the game. Mama smiled and started mixing it. She chopped off a part of her breast as if it were just another chunk of meat and added it in. She added in her heart next. I started screaming more and more, trying my best to open the door. I kept pulling on the doorknob, screaming my head off and crying. I looked at Mama. Her eyes were two black voids, and she smiled at me. The door finally opened. I ran straight to my mother's room and threw her blankets off her bed, revealing her severed limbs and her missing face. Her breast was cut, and her heart was gone with a gaping, open hole showing where it used to be. I screamed as loudly as I could, and I fainted. I probably made all that up in my mind, though. It's been so long. It's hard to think that this was 25 years ago. I still don't know if any of that game was a dream or what, but I know for a fact my mother died that night. I remember the police arriving after and asking me what happened. I just told them I had a bad dream, and I woke up and went to my mother's room just to find her like that. Mr. Patswell, my neighbor, apparently heard me, and he immediately called the police. I stayed with him through my teenage years after that. He was a great father figure, but he died too. Similarly too. I remember having a bad dream the night before, but I don't know else of what happened. My memory is getting hazy. I was already an adult by then, so I just moved out. I'm 34 and married now. I have a beautiful daughter. She's 9 now. I think I'm going to introduce her to some of my childhood stuff, like my games. Maybe I'll plug in the Wii for her in the morning and pull out my game collection. I still have everything after all these years. Even that stupid Cooking Mama game. Won't it be fun to play that again?